All right, fuck it. Wow. I have just been rushing around trying to set this all up, and I am once again recording this podcast with about an hour left of time to do this before I have to leave. So I have the perfect amount of time, which should work out. But man, I do this a lot. Cause I'm trying too hard for really a bad result. You know what I mean? Like this doesn't look great at all. You know what I mean? These curtains, I got more curtains so we could sort of widen the view. And for some reason, it really just looks like there's too much curtain behind me. I feel like there's just waterfalls of baloney now that are jarring to the eye. I don't know. I added a conch shell to let people know that I am in with the earth and the sea and all of the animals that dwell in it. I did that. Camera looks crooked to me, but then I looked at it on my phone and I was like, I don't know, it doesn't look that bad. Listen, I try and set things up to make it look nice, and I get to a point where I just go, fuck it, and then I just start doing the podcast. So if you've ever had issues with the sound or also today not using my little at-home studio lights, not doing that, just going full natural and then overhead room lighting. So what's fun about this podcast is that the lighting will change throughout the episode. That being said, I do all of this for the look of it. I would imagine, 9 people listen to this. I think one of them maybe watches it, but I don't watch it. When you watch a podcast, you watch a podcast for like a second. Like maybe if you're smoking weed and you pull your phone out to have a little sound behind you, or you're cooking, maybe you look over and you see the boys, but I don't think anybody's ever going to look and be like, he's about 30 degrees tilted today. It'd make the podcast more interesting if it was. I don't know. I don't know why I'm trying too hard. I think I'm also going to buy another mic that's too expensive. And for what? But for some reason, I don't know. It makes it more real. It's like, well, maybe if I spend $2,000 on this, then it will be a good podcast, which over time you can do. You can work that out. You can spend that much money on a podcast that sucks. Meanwhile, there are podcasts with so many more listeners that are just, the production level is even below this, But I don't know. We're living in a golden age of podcasts. Nowadays, you get a Rodecaster Pro and SM58, and you got decent sound, the kind of sound that they could only hope for in the 60s. I don't know. But it is good to be here. I'm still feeling calm, and it's because I'm smoking cigars. That's my new thing, cigars, okay? That is what is on the agenda for the Seaman nowadays, is cigars. Still smoking cigs, still blasting cigs, but trying to taper those with cigar smoke. And I don't know, if I could transfer fully to like a cigar a day, I should probably eventually stop doing that as well. And a lot of people would say that's insane. That's a crazy amount of tobacco, but still better than 20 cigarettes a day. If I could go from a bunch of tobacco with chemical in it to fucking just what I suppose to be clean, raw tobacco, then, maybe I'd be feeling a lot better. I don't know. But you do get such good focus from a cigar, because with cigarettes, I smoked cigarettes long enough that it doesn't really feel good as much as you're just sort of like wanting a cigarette, and then you smoke cigarette and then you don't want a cigarette anymore. But with a cigar, it's like I could want a cigar and then smoke a cigar, and then that cigar feels good. And then once I put that cigar down, I have a lasting nicotine feeling in my body, a nice calm, a nice focus, a nice little buzz, you know what I mean? Just in the zone. And I don't know, there's something nice about a cigar. It feels more ancient, because it is. They're older than cigarettes, obviously. But it's nice. You just have a nice stick of tobacco, and you slowly burn it, and you're just tasting it. And it's nice how it works, because it's like with with stuff you inhale, you know what I mean? It's like direct cause and action. It's like take the cigarette, inhale, get it, and then blow it out, and then hopefully you feel good. A cigar, it's like you start off and you're puffing it. You only keep it in your mouth, you don't inhale it. You're just puffing it, and then you blow it out, and then eventually you're like, ooh, Papa's feeling good. You know what I mean? Papa's feeling calm. It's almost like like the lightest version of weed possible. It's a whole different way of tobacco life. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I'm at a point where I just feel like I live so unhealthy that if I got to a point where if my tobacco usage was just like a cigar a day, it would be fine with me. I would not care. That's fine. because I don't know. I think I'm a smoker. Is like I just love smoking things so much. It's like weed or cigarettes, cigars. Luckily, never anything else, because everything else that you smoke is pretty fucked up. Like salvia or fake weed or heroin or crack or meth. Like almost everything else that you smoke is fucked up. But I have the three that you're kind of socially and legally allowed to smoke. And that's great, and it works. And I don't know, it's just something nice about you feel very ancient, you know what I mean? You hold a cigar and you just feel like you're a fucking Aztec leader, you know what I mean? Sorry, Mayan. Thank you to the Mayans for inventing cigars, by the way. I appreciate that. That helps me out a lot, that helps my life out. I don't know. It feels good. I'm feeling good about it. My friend was giving me shit about it. My friend, he's a great guy, but he's one of my closest friends. But he's extremely healthy, which is great. But the problem is he will then be rude to you in the name of health, and he kind of will, think that's justified to be rude to you because he's telling you to be healthy. When really he's being a dick. And he's not really changing your life. He's just sort of judging you. And he is technically right in a health sense, but also I don't think that being right medically is always right conversationally. You know what I mean? Because I told him, I was like, I'm smoking cigars now, and then he just goes, that's bad. I was like, I don't know, man. It feels pretty fucking good, okay? And I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe it'll help me quit cigarettes. And he goes, no, it won't. You're just going to smoke cigars and smoke cigarettes, And yeah, I've been doing that for the last 4 days, but I also fucking Rome wasn't built in a day. You know what I mean? And I've been smoking less cigarettes than before. So that's where I live. You know what I mean? It's tough when you have a friend like that you trust and you love, but then they just throw out just shit talk like that, where you're like, hey man, I'm really enjoying these cigars. And then he's like, I think you should feel bad about that. And you're like, I refuse. I fucking refuse, okay? And I'm sorry that you don't understand what a fucking vice is, but I do, okay? And I have them, and I need them, and they're some of my favorite things in life is these vices. So I would prefer that you do not talk shit about the only things keeping me fucking alive right now, okay? Because I don't understand how he lives his life. Like, he'll, like, go out, like, he'll, like, at the end of the night, sometimes he will go to, like, a market, like, not a bar, like a market or a liquor store, and he'll buy a single beer and then take that home and drink that and, like, enjoy it. And it's never, like, a fucking PBR. It's always, like, a quote-unquote good beer. You know what I mean? Like, not a good beer that anybody's trying to have a good time would drink, but somebody that doesn't drink a lot and doesn't really have problems with impulse control or drinking or anything like that would drink, because like he called me, he's like, hey, should I get this peanut butter porter or this double hazy IPA? And I was like, get a fucking PBR. Like, what are we talking about with the fucking porters? And here, like, what do we do? What are we on a tasting menu? What is the point of this? I don't understand it. Are you trying to get drunk? Are you even trying to get buzzed? What is this idea of having a beer? I need cause and effect. I need results. You're calling me? Asking me? What the fuck? I don't know, man. I mean, good for him, but it is crazy. He's a friend that I think truly is just one of these people that it's like they just don't have vices. But then it's like, I don't know, maybe their vice is like telling their friends that they suck when all their friend did was tell them they're smoking a cigar. Like maybe that, you know what I mean, is like his flaw, you know? Like he doesn't have vices, but he might have flaws, which is sometimes it's like, hey man, stop judging my goddamn life so much, you know? I love you, but also, you know, how much better are you really doing? You know, I don't know. But I love him, but it is tough for a guy like me to have friends that are like almost on like fucking military time. You know what I mean? Like just get up, work out, always eat healthy, always control yourself, never fall prey to pleasure. You know what I mean? It's like I think we all aspire to that. But also in a certain sense I don't. You know what I mean? Like in a certain sense it's like with life being so, I'm sorry to say this, but with life being so futile, with the fact that you're gonna die, it there's got to be times where you're not interested in perfection. You know what I mean? There's just got to be times where you go, listen, I'm gonna do my best, but at the same time, I would like to smoke this cigar. I'm going to die. I'd like to smoke this cigar before I die, you know? Now, is the answer smoking a cigar a day until you die? Okay, maybe not. Okay, my bad. But I don't know. I mean, I honestly, a cigar a day? Come on, what are you going to kill me? I'm thinking I get a cigar, maybe not too big of a cigar, and I puff that and I put it out and I puff it and kind of throughout the day do that. That would kind of be my plan. I think it's a solid plan. I don't know. Somebody on Twitter, it was a leftist person on Twitter, who was making us kind of look like pussies, because some dude fucking was advocating, and I think won a law to be able to smoke cigars in the Capitol, or he was trying to. And listen, I did not watch his interview. I don't know what he said. I just know that I think that was his fight, which is, let's be clear, fucking stupid and shouldn't make the news. Then again, if the guy wants to smoke a cigar and he wants to posit the question and you can knock that out in 30 minutes, then that's fine. I think the government should be allowed to make decisions in 30 minutes if it's something like, can the boys smoke some cigars in the Capitol building? Knock that out in 30 minutes, get everybody in the hall, vote on it, you know. But somebody on Twitter was like, Jesus Christ, can you believe this? And it's like, I don't know. I mean, I feel pretty good when I smoke cigars. I feel a lot more focused and I feel calm. I feel more chill. Like, it's pretty tough to, like, smoke a cigar and then be like, fuck you! Fuck it! Like, that's tough, you know? I would prefer that my politicians are constantly on a high dosage of nicotine. I think that every single politician should either be allowed to smoke cigars in their chambers or be covered head to toe in nicotine patches, okay? I think that's how you reach your hand over the aisle, you know what I mean? And let's be honest, AOC smokes a cigar, that pic's going viral all of a sudden. A lot of leftist people, big fans of cigars, okay? So I'm just saying, if we get everybody on the cigar train, I honestly think politics could become a lot more fun. And I'm not trying to do a fucking hippie, oh, if all the politicians smoked weed, there wouldn't be war. No, there'd be wars. Cigars are not stopping wars. Cigars are starting wars. Listen, terrible things are plotted over cigars, okay? Awful, heinous things. I mean, cigars have probably been smoked while, you know, Dick Cheney planned 9/11, while, you know, they fucking allowed Pearl Harbor to happen. You know, fucking Winston Churchill probably lit up a fucking cigar when 9/11 happened. He was so... Not 9/11. My bad. Take it back. Pearl Harbor. Winston Churchill was so hyped that Pearl Harbor happened, and it makes sense because he needed us in the war, and he knew that once that happened, we would be in the war. But it is so funny how openly hyped he was that Pearl Harbor happened. He said that on the night of Pearl Harbor, he like slept the sleep of a man with no worries, or something even dumber. That I said it simply, but he said it longer. And you know, British people make shit fucking complicated for no goddamn reason. That's what he did with that stupid ass phrase where he was excited that boys were... While he was going to sleep, by the way, there were people still trapped in fucking boats and they wouldn't be dead for 2 days. And he was, in his mind, it was over. He was sleeping the sleep of a peaceful man, or whatever that fucking fat idiot's words were. Fuck Winston Churchill. The shit he was pulling in Africa, him hyped over fucking Pearl Harbor. I don't like him. I don't like him at all. And I am ashamed to call him a fellow cigar smoker. One of the most famous, maybe the most famous cigar smoker ever. Honestly, and I think Che liked cigars a lot, and definitely Fidel liked cigars a lot. Not the greatest leaders in the world. Not the worst, but definitely not the greatest. Listen, I'm not... Maybe cigars don't lend to the best ideas in the world. I don't know. How fucked up was Fidel? I don't truly understand why. I'm starting to question is like, was I told that Fidel was bad because there were actually a bunch of people dying, or is that almost like residual Red Scare? I don't know. Fidel was cool, though. That's undeniable. I mean, he went to the fucking White House and took a picture in front of it, right? Like, that's pretty cool, you know? When they, like, he didn't give a fuck, you know? They tried to blow up his face with cigars. That's funny, and that didn't work out, you know? The U.S. did, I mean. But yeah, I don't know. Let him smoke cigars in the chambers. Fuck it. I don't care. Why would you... That's also a thing, is like, when it comes to Twitter, there's so much shit that people talk about that it's like, if you really... Like, your brain can care about anything. If it hears about some shit, it can care. If you really want to care. So there's tons of shit online that you hear about something that's bullshit. And bullshit is interesting because people will see something they don't like and they go, that's bullshit, and they get mad about it. But they're mad that it's bullshit. And bullshit inherently is pointless and stupid and not worth your time because it's fucking bullshit. So if you hear about some guy that's wasting all of the other politicians' time so he can try and advocate, so he can smoke a cigar in his office, like, yeah, that's some bullshit. But also, he's pulling some fucking bullshit. Whatever. He's pulling some bullshit. Like, just vote on it, yes or no, and then he'll go on his merry way. The problem now on Twitter is, like, now it's a thing for no reason. Like, I shouldn't know about that. The news should not report that. That is not news. That is like a conversation that can just be had. You know what I mean? I don't even think you need to vote on that. Honestly, now I'm thinking I need to look into this, because now I'm wondering why that guy didn't just smoke the cigar in his fucking office and see who the fuck told him not to. Because who is going to tell you? You think his secretary's going to come in and be like, Senator Blank, like, you can't smoke cigars in your office? No. Who else is coming into that office? Do you think the fucking principal of the government is going to come in? You think Joe Biden's going to walk into every senator's office and be like, were you smoking in here? I don't even know what they could do to you. You know what I mean? Dude, I would love to smoke in the White House. If I became the president, I would fucking just walk around the White House and just air that shit out. Just cover it head to toe. Every square inch of the place is just foggy with smoke, different kinds of smoke too. Just whatever wing I was in, smoking whatever I was smoking. Just fucking cigar, cigarette, weed. I would smoke all of it. Okay, fucking cigar, cigarette, weed. Yo. I think I'm definitely not going to put the chapters in this episode. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but sometimes I will try and do a thing where if you skip along in the video, it'll show you what I'm talking about for a certain amount of time. And the last 3 episodes, I have had no fucking idea what to write because I've had almost nothing interesting to say for longer than 30 seconds. So it just becomes this thing. And then I just go in and out of topics, but I don't know. I like cigars a lot. I went to San Diego recently to do stand-up this past weekend. And I was there for 2 days. I went to 3 cigar shops. One was, I think it was Churchill's Cigar Lounge in Old Town, like Mission something. I don't know. It wasn't Mission District. I don't know. I think that's completely different. Old Town San Diego, though. Very old, kind of Spanish architecture. Some fun restaurants around there. But I went there first, sat outside, got a Davidoff Colorado Claro, got a Davidoff Nicaraguan box pressed, smoked that box pressed cigar right outside, sat at a table by myself, and it's a good feeling to just lounge with a cigar by yourself. And it's a good way to be alone because it's like, I think looking at me looking like a young man in a hoodie smoking a cigar by himself, you have questions that are all then immediately answered because it's like, what the fuck's he doing? And then you're like, oh, he's just smoking a cigar. That's just an odd early 20s guy. That's just a guy in his early 20s who's gonna be really weird by the time he's 60 because he's not doing the right thing. Like, I'm sure that's calm and nice for him, but that is not what he is supposed to be doing. But I don't know. I mean, it's kind of nice. You get cancer a little more respectfully. You know what I mean? I went there. That was a good way to spend the day. Before that, though, because you've probably heard comedians talk about this, but when you're ever doing comedy, and when I say on the road, this is a hard, quote on the road. It's not really on the road. I'm doing fucking 2 shows a night, guest spots, 10 minutes each, unpaid, and it's only in San Diego, which is like a 2 to 3 hour drive. So anybody that's done comedy would laugh at what I just said of how fucking pathetic that is. But I had a good time, and you got to do stand-up, and when you get it where you take it, and you want more time, you got to get to know people, whatever. But when you're doing comedy in a place where you don't live, and you are sleeping in that place, what happens is you wake up the day of the show, and you say to yourself, it's 10 a.m., I have 10 fucking hours until the show at 8. Until the first show, until the time to begin to clock in has commenced. 10 hours, okay? So you really got to milk a slow wake up into taking a shower, into finding breakfast. And then once you do that, once all your essentials are done, you're really fucked. So it's like you can go and write, or you nap, or you watch TV at wherever you're staying, or you just sit down or whatever, But what's good about the cigars is that is like, maybe half an hour of driving, depending on where you're going. Let's just say half an hour. And then you sit at that cigar lounge for pretty much as long as you want, but you can milk a solid at least an hour. And if you want, you could be there, for fucking 3 hours if you wanted to smoke like 2 cigars or whatever, So it's a great way to just waste time. Because, like, when you are waiting to do a show in a place you don't live, you're like, I gotta just find something to do for a long time. And a cigar lounge is great because you walk in, you buy a stick of tobacco, and you just go, can I sit down for 3 hours? Can I sit down? And the place goes, that's what this place is for. This is a wonderful place to come and sit down for 3 hours, you know? So you smoke that cigar, which takes a long time. You watch a football game, which takes a long time. Maybe if you want, you drink something, you know? And it's wonderful. That's how I got through my day, you know? Did that. Then the second day I was there, that was the day that I woke up and had to spend the whole day. I got up, showered, drove from Imperial Beach to downtown San Diego, went, got some lumpia with fried rice with sausage in it. Wonderful Filipino food to start the day. What a cuisine. Ate that alone. Then I walked over to a cigar lounge, which rolled their own cigars, which I'm not into. Sorry. I'm realizing this now. I've only done it once, but I'm realizing for the future, I'm really not very interested in that concept, to be completely honest, okay? Because what I'm talking about is there are cigar companies. There's like Cohiba's, Upman's, Davidoff's, whatever. There's companies that do this in factories, but they're handmade factories. I mean, they're factories in the sense that they're like warehouses or areas where guys sit at small tables and then hand roll cigars. So it's not a factory, but it's a collection. They come from a place, they send them out to stores, and you buy them. The other option is there's these places, like this one I went to, Grand Havana Cigar Lounge, which I liked. Great place. And they do have nice cigars, but I don't know. What they do is they just got a couple guys that come in, I don't know, maybe once a day or some point, and they just roll cigars out of whatever tobacco they import, and then they sell their own cigars. So it's very nice. They have their own room, their own humidifier, and they have like, I don't know, 5 or 6 different types of cigars and just hundreds of them in there. These guys are just banging them out. But I don't know. It was worse. It was just worse, and I paid $31 for it, which is, on the higher side for a cigar, definitely on the higher side. But I know what I'm paying for. I'm paying for the fact that it was hand-rolled there, and they import in whatever. They got to make ends meet, But I could have spent that money on other cigars that I did end up buying that were nicer cigars that cost more money because of a history that is involved with quality, you know what I mean? So I was sitting there. It was good. I went there after the lumpia, and I got a big old fat Maduro cigar, which is a darker, a little stronger tobacco. That was once again rolled by the place. Sat there and drank that with black coffee, and I wrote comedy and really tried to not look like a guy that wanted to be seen doing that, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, when because smoking a cigar, there's no way to not kind of look like a douche doing it, because it's not like a cigarette where it's quick and you inhale it, then it's gone, then you blow it out. With a cigar, you put it in your mouth and you either kind of hold it and then blow it out, or you take the cigar out and you just kind of leave your mouth open and just sort of let the smoke come out. The point is, it's just a slow process. It's not like because with cigarettes, it's like get it into your lungs. That's all you have to do. Get it out of your lungs. But with a cigar, it's just sort of like taste it, however you want to do that now. So you always just end up being a guy that's like it never does not look douchey. So it's tough. So I was sitting there smoking the fucking cigar, drinking the fucking coffee. I guess I'm cussing now. Smoking the cigar, drinking the coffee, writing, and being like, how do I do this and not look like a douchebag? I was doing well. Was burning time there. And then I ran into a comic that I know, J.F. Harris, very funny comic. Ran into him and some guys from comedy promotion, long time no see comedy, and sat down with them. One of them was smoking a cigar. The other's just hanging. So we sat and smoked cigars, and that was great because, once again, just fucking more time to burn, But it's funny because there's just so much goddamn time in the day to fill, and you realize that when you're like on vacation but not on vacation, you know what I mean? Like, you're in a new place, but you didn't come there to see the city. So I've already been at that cigar place for, I don't know, a couple hours, but I still got like an hour and a half. No, I still got like 2 hours till the fucking show, which is a 2-minute walk from where I am. So I walk over to another cigar lounge that I heard of, buy two of them, have the guy cut one for me, start smoking it in there, watching football, drinking a water. Weird move to smoke tobacco and just drink a straight water with it. I go there and then smoke half of that cigar. Problem is, I had two fucking coffees at the cigar lounge before it. So I'm hyped off of like cappuccino and a black coffee and a cigar. Now I'm smoking a second cigar and I am just like completely out of my head, like trying to make plans with people to hang out later on my phone and just like forgetting everything I've ever planned in my life before, just making no sense to anybody that I'm fucking talking to. And then I have to leave and go to the show, and I show up to the show and I'm just fucking moving my legs like crazy, just out of my fucking head. And that's the problem with being on the road, is it's too much time. If I had like 2 hours less of time, things might have been okay. You know what I mean? If I just had less time to drink more coffee and smoke more tobacco, I might have fucking made it out of there alive. But I don't know. It's it's tough. But the shows were fun. It was nice. It was Madhouse Comedy Club. It was pretty much sold out for 3 of the shows. One show was not. But it's great. It's nice to do comedy in different places. San Diego's funny because, it's not that far from LA, like culturally, it's a similar zone. But I think Camp Pendleton being there, that military camp. I don't know if that's like Marines or Navy or Army. It's obviously one of them. But what if it was Air Force? But that being there there's a little more of a couple, military vibe there, and just in general in San Diego, those people just kind of want to have a nice time. You know what I mean? It's a whole group of people who are like, I'm wearing my flip-flops that have bottle openers on the bottom of them. I'm wearing a fucking Quicksilver shirt. I'm wearing Oakleys, and I'm wearing a flat brim. And I'm not really thinking about how I look. And for some reason, it's like they do have their own very defined style that they do seem to like, but it's also like they don't care. I don't know. But this is a long-winded way of saying usually a lot of San Diego crowds are fucking stupid, but not crazy stupid. Like, it's interesting because they're in California, but they're not LA people. So it's like they've kind of heard of some of the LA concepts that you might mention more, but they just don't know any of those people. You know what I mean? Like, you'll bring up pansexual and they might have heard about it, but they've never met one. I don't know. They're usually okay crowds. They can be a little hard to connect with, but for the most part, they're pretty all right. And I don't mind them. I had a decent time. It was funny. There was one show where, before I got up, I counted like 4 conversations happening. And then I saw a 5th one when I got up there, which was in the front row. So I was up there and I got up, and it's funny because they were a crowd that just didn't understand that they were talking. You know what I mean? Like you realize the amount of childishness that some adults will have, where it's like like when you bring up the fact that they are talking, they act like kids, where they're like, "What are you talking about?" And you're like, "You speaking during a live performance 10 feet from the stage, loudly. I'm aware of this." And it's like they're so embarrassed of being caught that they like really don't ever kind of fess up to it. You know what I mean? Like they never, really say anything or acknowledge what you're saying. They just keep acting like pieces of shit, sort of. So the show was far from a train wreck, but I went up and I was like, man, you guys are not so attentive. You know what I mean? I was like, this really seems like this night was, this whole show's sort of just a pit stop for the end of the night with you guys. And then they take it as me like kind of, I guess, whining and like being desperate and being like, oh, come on, please listen to me. And And I guess I have to understand that that can be interpreted as that, but really I'm just saying like, hey, I notice you guys being cunts right now. That's kind of interesting, huh? You know? And then when they're just like, no, you're like, because I remember I said that, and there was the couple in the front row that was talking, and I go, you guys are front row. You guys are really in love right now. This is romantic as hell. You were just kissing him. Like this woman, the extent to which she was not looking at the stage was egregious. Um, and I brought it up, and she just goes, your jokes are funny. And it's just funny because it's like, I wasn't asking for you to support me. I also haven't told a joke yet because the show just started. I'm just bringing, or not the show, my set just started. It's like I'm just bringing it up, but then it's weird how it's like they hold on to whatever kind of audience power they have, where they're like, no, don't worry, we'll give you the affirmation you need, whatever, and you're like, no, I'm not looking for you to like me. I'm looking for you, literally your eyes on me is all I need. Is just an acknowledgement that you are watching the show, which many people were not. And that show it was fine. I still did all right. The people that were listening liked the set, which was still most of the crowd, but it was only 30 people, and there were a solid, I don't know, fucking 7 bad apples in the group that just, I don't know. It's just they're just like kind of not that interested in the whole concept of being at a comedy show, but they still come to a fucking comedy show, which is what you have to deal with. And it's funny because as far as I can tell, that is pretty much the only live performance that really happens to. Like, nobody's ever been in the ballet and looked out and seen the crowd not talking to each other and then had to like shut up the crowd. Like, as far as I can tell, stand-up comedy is almost the only art that requires crowd control, and if you can't do that, then the entire show ends. Like, music, obviously, you got to have some crowd control, but also, like, people will shut up when music starts playing. You know what I mean? People don't always shut up just because somebody on stage is talking. Something about a lone person on stage, I think it just makes people just go like, I could or could not. But with like a band, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But it is funny because, yeah, comedy is the only art form where you can have an entire comedy club and everything set up for a comedy show to happen. And then you go up and nobody is interested in the comedy show. And at that point, it's like they can really just take the entire thing. Like, they can just sabotage the entire fucking show. And it's like nothing has, nothing's been fortified for this fucking show to work out. Which is crazy. You have the entire venue set up, and all it takes is people just being like, that reminds me of, and you just have to live with that. And I don't know. I think it's crazy to me. Doing stand up is sort of like working in sales, where you just realize the kind of disgusting unawareness that people have for the world around them in certain situations that they're in. They just don't, a lot of people, they just don't get it. They just don't get why they have to act a certain way in a certain situation. And when you tell them why, they're not interested, they don't care, and they're mad at you. And that's, what you deal with a lot. But I don't know. It was all right. It was just, it was an okay stay. Stayed at my brother's house in Imperial Beach. And I was excited to do that because it was free lodging. And my brother was not there, but he lives with his girlfriend. They have one other roommate. The roommate was out of town. His girlfriend was going camping for a day, so she wasn't really there. So I pretty much just had the place to myself, and I was like, all right, cool, that might be easy. And then I show up, and they're like, there's also a humongous German Shepherd that lives here, which I was not told about and was not so excited to see when I pulled it, which sucks because I love dogs. But I come and there's like a huge German Shepherd, and I'm like, oh, well, this is kind of a lot. But the dog itself is fine. The problem was the dog had fucking fleas and an ear infection. So you have to look at an uncomfortable dog all the time, which I don't like doing because I had a fucking dog with, I had a purebred lab growing up because my brother worked on a fishing boat and the wife bred dogs. We didn't go to a breeder. We did, but we didn't pay for it. Come on, we got to hook up. You're not going to take a free purebred? Come on. But those dogs are fucked. So this dog is fucking itching its ear the entire goddamn time, and it's like slightly whining, and because its ear itches and it's got fleas, so it's just fucked. And it's such a bad vibe. Like, I came home after the shows the first night. Nobody was home, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to go back. I'm going to eat this fucking In-N-Out, and I'm going to chill and, just have a nice night. And then I come home, and, yeah, the dog's there, and he wakes up, obviously, because he's a good boy, and it's his job, too. He wakes up, comes down, and now my meal is joined by a dog that's like, like kind of just randomly, just like, you know what I mean? It's like if you were like staying in a place and all of a sudden a dude came down and was just like, what's up, man? Good to see you. Fuck, I'm fucking itchy. I'm uncomfortable, man. It's good to see you. Is that food? That looks good. I'm so itchy right now. I'm so fucking itchy. Oh my God. And that's not the fucking post-show vibe that I wanted. You know what I mean? I had already done the stand-up. I just wanted it to be quiet and nice. And now I just have to look at a dog have, a bit of a rough go of it, and that I felt bad for the guy, And then my brother's girlfriend texted me, and she was like, hey, somebody was supposed to come over and walk the dog, but that person's sick now. If you could possibly do that. And it was not at all a rude request. It was not. They got a little fucked. The guy got sick. And she didn't even say walk it. She was like, just take it out. If you could take it out just so it can take a shit before you leave to go do whatever you're going to do. Essentially just saying like, I really don't want dog shit on the carpet if you could help me out. So I'm a nice guy. I took it out for 2 short walks, before I left for my day the next day. But it is very funny to think that you're just going to stay at a person's house and then all of a sudden your dog's sitting and you're like, wait a minute. This wasn't the plan. This wasn't my plan. What the fuck is happening? Why am I responsible for something now? You know what I mean? I was chilling. I came down here to be a fly in the night. You know what I mean? Just nowhere, just doing the shows, smoking cigars, eating burgers at night alone. Now I have some sort of buddy throughout all of this, and that was kind of annoying. But I mean, I don't know. It's, I guess, better than paying for a hotel. I mean, I fucking couldn't. I don't have any money, But I mean, I was pissed because, at one point I was laying on the couch and I look at my arm and I just see a small bug. I try and touch it, then it hops away, and I'm like, great, a flea. I have fleas. How nice is that? I also kind of feel like if you live in a house with a dog and that dog has fleas and someone's coming to stay in the house, maybe you should say, hey, we have a dog that has fleas. You good with that? And my answer would be to go on Google and Google, can humans get fleas? And then weigh the fucking options, as opposed to showing up to a house and being met with a flea dog. That's not the vibe that I asked to come into, I also got a speeding ticket in San Diego. I didn't even mention that. I fucking got it's the second speeding ticket I've gotten doing comedy in San Diego. The first time I was coming back from shows late at night on the freeway, gunning it. Because this shit's over and nobody's on the freeway, and then a fucking cop wanted to fill a quota. You fucking prick. Just let me die. At this point, I'm not hurting anyone else. I'm alone out here. Just let me die if I crash. But this time, I was driving my mom's car, which is a nice Mercedes. I was driving it because I didn't trust my car to make it down to San Diego. But I was driving it just down a residential, and past a cop. I see its lights turn on, and I'm like, is that me? Fuck! What? I must have been going over the speed limit. And then eventually, yeah, it is me. He pulls me over, and he's like, he was very nice about it. He was like aggressively nice about it. He's like, "Hey, how you doing? We're doing speed checks over here. This is a 30-mile-per-hour zone, and you blew past us going 44." Which I had no fucking idea I was going that fast, because this Mercedes is so nice that you have no idea how fast you're going. So I blew past him going, fucking, and he pulls me over and he was like, "Why are you going so fast?" And I was like, it's my mom's car, and essentially it's just a fast car. And I got him to at least giggle a little bit. He's like, "Yeah, I got you. It's a fast car." And I was like, "Yeah, my life rocks." Which is also probably why he ended up giving me the ticket, even though we had a bit of a rapport. Maybe if I had a shittier car, he would have been like, well, his life's not so great. But I'm sure he saw the car and he was like, well, his fucking mom's going to pay for this shit. So I got a speeding ticket, and now I don't know if I'm going to have to. I really hope they don't make me go to court. I don't know how that shit works. But now that I look back on the weekend, not the best, but there were moments, and I, bought some more cigars and I had a positive time. So, all in all, it was fine. But there were a lot of moments of being super fucking pissed. Because I was also heading nowhere, really, when I got the speeding ticket. I was driving to go get food and smoke a cigar. So it's like, I was like, I could have left 5 minutes later and that cop wouldn't have even been there. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing now? This sucks. But I don't know. Did the shows, ate Lupia. Now I'm back in LA. And I've really been a lot more into being from LA lately. Because I've been traveling, When I went to Philly and when I went to, San Diego, getting out, doing shit. It's great to be in other places and just be like, man, so glad I live where I live. You know what I mean? It's like, I know it's such a stuck-up LA thing, but there's so many times where whenever I just go new places, I'm always like, this is good. It's really great that I live where I live, because this is nice, but who the fuck would live here? Jesus Christ, I don't know. But yeah, it was a good time. This whole episode has honestly sucked. I'm sorry. I started the episode and I was like, what was I going to talk about? And then I was like, cigars. And then I really blew through just about everything I had to talk about with cigars in about 10 minutes. And since then, I have been just trying to figure it out. And it really hasn't pulled through. Maybe because this week, I don't know. I've really just, the shit I'm getting into is not that interesting, I guess, if I'm being honest. The life I'm creating is not, I do the same thing all the time, and then now I'm like, I smoke cigars, and everybody's like, okay, I don't know. That's an activity where you sit and you do nothing for a fucking hour and a half. I don't know. I don't think this podcast would be any more interesting, though, if I was fucking BMX riding. You know what I mean? I don't know what the fuck content is now, and I'm not gonna be able to ever fucking do anything but this, which is the problem, and that's what fucks me up, is there's all these guys and all these fucking shitty goddamn comedians that go on stage and they do the worst crowd work possible, and they just go, have you done anal? Well, you should, and that's the whole thing, and then they just pause and wait for people to laugh at how weird they fucking made it. Or it's fucking people on the street doing prank videos, and both of those people should get together, fuck each other, have a kid, kill that kid, and then kill each other, because it sucks so goddamn much. And this sucks too, but I hope to God it's something I can get good at and then be at least fucking mildly interesting, as opposed to whatever the fuck this episode is. And I'm sorry, and thank God it's free and you didn't pay for it. And also, nobody is listening to... I'm fully talking to myself at this point. There is no way that anybody listened to the episode and made it to this point. And if you have, leave a comment under and let me know, because I should send you $150,000 fucking dollars for your act of patriotism, I think if anybody made it this long in the episode, you probably assume that I'm going to shoot up a place and that you're saving lives, which, hell, maybe you are. No, I'm not going to buy a gun. But fucking, I don't know, man. I don't know what else to do to make people interested. Besides fucking post stand-up clips and podcast clips and try and be good at stand-up and podcasting. Other than that, I don't know. I'm not going to do anything else is sort of my answer. There's nothing else I'm going to do. So if you don't like this, stop listening. Come back in 3 years. Maybe I'll be better at it. If you still don't like it, you're probably just not into the product. But, I don't know. I'm fucking pissed off, man. I hate content so goddamn much. Anyway, this whole episode really fucking sucked, but I'm not going to have time to record another, so my bad. This week just sucks dick. Anyway, thank you so much. I'll be dead by next week. Love you.